There we go. Okay. This is probably going to be a disaster, but we are going to try to customize a Transformer today. I have never done this, and I don't know paints. Someone I know does Gundam models. They said the Gundam markers work out pretty well, so, I mean, we're going to try it. I was able to get another Cybertron Starscream for cheap, so figured, hey, let's actually try to make a Cybertron Thundercracker. I mean, I know there is an actual Cybertron Thundercracker, but this is a Cybertron Thundercracker that's going to use a good body, you know. Just kind of tape roll now. Come on. There we go. Okay, got the box open. And we got all the pieces inside. Doop. Oh, hello. Oop, sorry about that. How's it going, Full Metal Slayer? Thank you. We are, speaking of vids, Thundercracker video is doing pretty well right now, so we're going to try to make a new Thundercracker today, I guess. I have never customized a Transformer. I don't know how well this is going to go, but we're going to try just to see if we can do it. Boop, finding him out of the box. Where is he? Waste. There we are. Okay. So, got the figure out of the box. All the joints feel nice and tight. That's great. Let me pull this to the side, pull everything else out real quick. So, essentially, I have Gundam markers. I don't know how well Gundam markers actually work on a Transformer, but I have friends who do Gundams, and they swear by Gundam markers. They say that the Gundam markers really help customizing the Gundam model kits, and I figure it's a different type of plastic, but at the same time, just maybe it could still work. That's good. Let me be your guinea pig. Alright, so, we have our boy here. I'm going to pull out the directions as well. We have our boy here. Boop. We have his wings, and we have his weapons. We're going to keep those off to the side right now. So we have our boy, and what I want is to make this more Thundercrackery. So we have the Gundam model marker kit. So, looks like we have a blue, we have a green, we have a silver, gold, red. What is this one? Gundam marker. Oh, that's a black. That's good. So that would be for like panel lining with the proper Gundam, I guess. And then the rest of these are just, cool colors to use. So, Thundercracker, of course, we're going to want the blue. I want the red to add red for an accent color, sure, but also because I want to try to give him a red face, like Armada Thundercracker. And we'll use the silver to try to pick out the eyes. But first, of course, we have the blue. So, here's my hope, right? Most of Starscream that we're going to try to color in is gray. So in theory, maybe the marker would be fine. Because I know if it was like an actual thing we were painting, we would need to put down like a base coat, things like that. Now, I'm trying to figure out how does this work. I can hear something inside that's rattling. Is this the thing where I just push down and it comes out? No, that is not how that works. Maybe I should have also checked to see how a Gundam marker works. Oh wait, hey, we're living and we're learning. Ooh, mostly living, because I'm not learning much. I hear something moving around in there. Can I open this at all? I can't open it. Can I open the bottom? No, I can't open the bottom either. If I, just... Maybe? Because I know sometimes it's a thing where it's like you kind of have to... Yep, there we go. So we're just gonna... We're getting a little bit of blue paint now. There we go. We have pierced the veil, and we are now putting some nice metallic blue onto Starscream. Okay. I am not an artist, nor have I ever claimed to be an artist. I am just some big ol' nerd who wants a Thundercracker and doesn't understand paint, so we're gonna try this. I remember when I was a kid, this was a thing we used to do like with army men. is we would each pick a color. Because, you know, army men usually they're just like green, sometimes tan, beige, I guess. So how do you figure out whose army man is which? Well, everyone picks a different color, and we take Sharpies, and we color the army men. Okay, so I mean we have Starscream's knee. That's a decent blue, I like that actually. Now I know that we're probably going to have to do quite a few coats of this to actually make it keep, so we're going to be aiming to at least get the first coat done tonight. There we go. I'm also curious, like, could I do this with just one marker? Was this the thing where I probably should have grabbed another pack? You know what? That's a bridge we will cross when we get there. As with most things in life, I'm just going to let that sit until we need to tackle it again. How's everyone doing tonight? I see there's a couple people in the chat. It is a bit rough to get into these tiny corners, but you can get in there. Here we are. And then just down here in these vents. Get the top of the vents. I think this is going to be like the hardest stuff to do, is the things that are like really narrow. I don't mind keeping the gray in the figure in places, but I want to try to get as much of this blue on here as I can. Doop, 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 doop. All right. And now we're on the other side of the knee. Now, I have a few friends who are so talented when it comes to customizing their toys. And, like, they take the figures apart and paint everything by hand. Like, it's amazing. I just don't have the talent nor the knowledge, nor, in all honesty, the drive to gain the talent or the knowledge to really do any of that. I think it's amazing the people who can learn to do that and who do that. That's just not something that I'm terribly interested in, you know? Alright, starting to see some results. What I imagine is going to happen is, like, it's going to look decent, but then of course it's going to dry, and as it dries it's going to thin out. So this is probably going to be a process that we have to repeat a few times. But that's okay. That's just what you gotta do sometimes. At what point does this just turn into I'm just scribbling on an action figure with a marker? Because I think that's where we are already. But hey. Probably not the most engaging contact I've ever made, to be sure. Boop. This is a really nice blue, though. I like this metallic blue a lot. I don't know why this is reminding me of this, but me and my buddy, we were going to a video game shop today. He's really wanting to go back and collect a lot of, like, PS2 games, right? Well, the PS2, from what I remember, is like the single longest-lived console of all time. Like, it just took forever for that console to die. And for good reason, it's a good console. But as we were going through, this place had a bunch of, like, licensed games. And that's the thing that's just kind of died in recent years. But back in the day, like, every movie and every TV show, and even, like, things that were just, like, comic books and toys got video games on, like, the PS2, and the original Xbox, the Wii. So we were going through, And I never knew that there was a Treasure Planet video game. But they had one there, and it makes me really curious. I want to look it up and see what that game's like. Because it probably is just like a platformer. But like I'm thinking about like Treasure Planet, it's like that could have been like a racing game. That could have been like maybe a puzzle game. It could have even been like a little like maybe like Prince of Persia style like sword combat game. I love Treasure Planet. There's a lot of ways you can make into a cool game. I don't know if they necessarily did, but at the same time I've never heard of it, so maybe it's one of those hidden gems. You'd be surprised just how many good games just kind of go under the radar, it seems like. We are getting places with this leg, I'm pretty sure. Boop, boop, boop. The paint, or rather, the ink, is starting to dry, and as it dries, I don't mind how it looks, actually. Like, it's thinning out in places, but it also just makes it look like Thundercracker's been in a bunch of fights. I don't know. Like, it could just be like, maybe I'm lazy, maybe I'm a big old dummy. I am a big old dummy, I know that much. But, like, I'm saying this, and it's like, I might do another layer, but I kind of like how there is just pieces of the gray kind of poking back out like he's battle damaged. It is doing something for me and my interest. Alright, over here. Let's doop doop. There we are. I know I was talking to people earlier. Like I said, I have a lot of friends that do customizations. And they tell me about how long it takes to get a figure perfect sometimes. I have a friend, and that friend has Omega Supreme, right? And they want to make it look more like Energon Omega Supreme, which is like a dark blue and reds, oranges. It's a cool color scheme, but it's very weird. Not at all like the G1 Omega Supreme. And they have just like a Siege Omega Supreme that they've been wanting to use it. They have literally spent the last several years trying to figure out how to repaint this figure because of how massive it is. But they've just started doing it. And it's the thing where it's like, yeah, literally every day they only paint like a part of a limb because they have to go back and like redo the colors and figure out like where to go from there because of just how crazy that color scheme is. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near like that for Thundercracker, just because when you get down to it, Thundercracker's a pretty easy do, right? Like, I really could just put blue on all the gray, and then say that's close enough to Thundercracker. There's a few more things I want to do, but like that's all you really need for Thundercracker. I suppose I could try to make the torso silver, but truth be told, I like the idea of him still having red in the torso. Just because he doesn't have the wings, so you can't really get the good Thundercracker red going as easily as you can on a figure that has like the G1 style wings. And some down here. And down by this ankle. I'd say this is going pretty well so far. We're already almost done with our first leg. I say almost done, we are nowhere near done. Plus my hand is starting to cramp up. It's been a long time since I've used my hand to write or draw something. I'm much more of a keyboard kind of girly at this point. That was another thing. It's like just as a kid, I remember like when we first got computers in my school, because we were actually one of the last counties, like I think in the entire United States, to actually get like any type of computer lab. And I remember like when we first got computers, just how much it hurt my hands to have to type, because it's different. You use a different type of muscle group in your fingers for typing. And nowadays it's the reverse. It's harder for me to write something by hand, just because of how used I am to using the keyboard. It is like the least interesting thing I've ever talked about. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to be boring you. I also don't mean to be doing this off screen. My bad. Just getting hits of blue on here. I I wish there was like an easy way to remove the limbs from this figure, but there really aren't unless you're able to take the rivets out. Which they make a machine that you can do that with, but I don't trust myself with power tools. Especially not when I'm just trying to scribble on an action figure. I remember another thing people used to do. When I was growing up, so many of my friends were into wrestling, right? And I'm still into wrestling, love wrestling. But it was a thing where it's like, the wrestling figures were always kind of late. Like, it might be months after a person gets a new costume where you'd get a figure of it. Well, John Cena changes his, like, jersey all the time. So I had a friend who literally just had, like, one John Cena toy, and they would paint it every single time he changed out his jersey. And that way they always had, like, a modern John Cena. And by the end, it's like you just couldn't do anything with that figure in terms of the... Oh, the arms pop off, actually. Okay, I'm actually going to do that to this other arm, because that's going to be way easier to deal with. Awesome. But yeah, it became a thing where it's like, you literally couldn't do any new colors on that figure after a while because of how much the colors have bled into each other. Because eventually, if you use like too many colors on a painting or a drawing of any type, you get like a brown, and then you get a gray, and then it just ultimately just keeps staying gray. You can't ever fix it. And that was the point we were at with John Cena. I will say this, though. It was a good idea, at least at first, to like, hey, just paint up the John Cena every so often. Okay. That's one leg done. And I'll be honest, I am into it. There's places where the gray's still poking out. Don't get me wrong. It's not perfect. Definitely do another coat on it. But, like, there's parts where the gray's poking out, like here and, like, here, that I actually really enjoy. It makes it look like this Thundercracker's been in, like, a bunch of fights and, like, the paint is flaking off. I'm already digging this. This is going better than I thought it was going to. All right, let's get the foot now. Here. And again, my goal here is I just want to get the gray, really. If it gets on the dark blue, I'll be fine with it, because I might be making the dark blue red. I haven't decided yet. All I really know is I'm going to try to get all the gray in this metallic blue, get a few more hits of red on here to really bring up... just got that all over my hand. To really bring out Thundercracker. It's a thing where I wish I had brought gloves or a paper towel in here or something. Just a way to make sure that I don't, like, touch the figure and accidentally put the blue on it. And then I'll recolor where my finger went. Okay. First leg done. Here, let me zoom in a little bit. First leg done. Looking alright for a first coat. Move on to the second leg. I really wish there was an easy way to pop these legs out. There's not, and it does make for a better figure, but it makes it harder to do something like this. I'm going to hold him like this as I try to get this side panel here on the leg. There we go. And now we're continuing on to the other leg. What's the best way to do this? I guess I'm going to kind of like go like this and just try to keep the legs far apart from one another as we do this. And, there we are. I'm just wanting to make sure I don't accidentally like grab that leg with my palm, because I'm going to assume that this isn't exactly waterproof ink or anything. At least while I'm doing this part, I can hang on to the leg over here. I might already be running out of blue. Oh no. We'll see. We will see. I even thought to myself maybe I should grab a second pack of markers, but then I was like, nah, I'm sure I might be able to get it with one. That is looking like it might be less and less the case. But who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. This metallic blue actually really reminds me of the blue on Alternity Thundercracker. That, like, electric blue. Very pretty blue. Probably the prettiest Thundercracker toy ever, really. That's what this blue really brings to mind. And I am not complaining, because that's a wonderful blue. And more Thundercrackers should be that blue. More things in general should be that blue. I would kill for, like, a Superman to have, like, a metallic blue like that. Just, like, one figure. I wouldn't want it, like, in a movie or anything, or a video game. But, like, just one kind of interesting Superman figure going for, like, a more unique blue. It'd be pretty cool. At the very least, once we get past the legs, there's actually not a lot of gray left that we need to do. Most of the gray in Cybertron Starscream is in the legs. And then around on the back, I suppose. Maybe a way to get a little bit more Thundercracker red would be to make his, like, weapon pauldrons red. Maybe. We'll think about it when we get there. That was the point of this, is, like, I didn't want to plan. I didn't want to get too crazy, too bogged down in details. We are just trying to make this work. And so far, I think it is working. I know I had a lot of friends point out in the Transformers 1 trailer, towards the end when you have, like, the big battle scene in the sky, you can see Skywarp is there, or at the very least someone who looks just like Skywarp. And people are wondering, like, oh, are Skywarp and Thundercracker going to actually properly be in the Transformers 1 movie? It'd be kind of cool, because I realized the other day, for how prominent they are, and for how many, like, nobodies got into the Bayverse movies, Skywarp and Thundercracker never actually made it in. Like, they had toys, and they were in, like, the comic books, but they were never actually in any of the movies. I don't even think they were necessarily in any of the games. Like, I don't think Thundercracker or Skywarp was, like, in, like, the PS3 or PS2 games. Unless, like, maybe there was, like, a DLC mission or something. I remember, like, apparently the first movie game, there was, like, a mission where you, like, played as, like, Ultra Magnus, I think. And it was just Movie Prime, but white with blue flames. Which is cool. It's weird that we never got a toy of that, because it's a good design, good color scheme for that figure. But, yeah, they would put, like, a lot of weird characters in, like, the first movie games. Like, Hound and Trailbreaker were in those games, too. Like, imagine movie Trailbreaker. That's almost like, well, I mean, I know they did a figure of it, but, like, in terms of, like, actually showing up in something, that's like Beachcomber making it into, like, the Michael Bay movies. It just kind of feels wrong, you know? For a character that goofy, that silly, to be there. Yeah, it's getting to a point where I'm getting less and less blue out of every pushdown, meaning that we are very much on the verge of running out. But we still got a good, strong blue going, so I want to see if we can at least get this first coat down. I saw another thing is a lot of people will, like, use spray paint. They spray paint their figures. And, like, they have a type of aerosol they use, and they use plastic to make sure that, like, the spray doesn't go anywhere, and then they'll pick it out, like, specific details later using a paintbrush. Man, it amazes me, like, how people are able to figure stuff like that out. Like, what is the optimum way to color in Transformer action figure pieces? And it's like, the people who really go crazy on customizing, right? They're artists. They really are. Like, in the same way that a sculptor or, like, an interior designer is an artist. I think people get really weird about the term artist. Because, like, I've heard people be like, oh, artists only, like, paint. And it's like, no, an artist just creates, man. And creating might be you make something from the ground up, or creating might be, hey, here's the frame, brings spirit into it, brings soul into it. Like, how many, like, cool pieces of art are like, hey, I, like, reclaimed a bunch of garbage and made an awesome sculpture of it. And it's like, that's cool. But, like, is that lesser than someone who, like, sculpted a statue, like, from the ground up? I don't know. I just think it's a different type of art, you know? Let's see here. There we go. A little bit more blue. It's also really hard to paint in, like, the front of these legs just because of how much sculpted detail there is. So there's a lot of places that you just can't really get color down into. And I'm also, like, really paranoid that I'm going to scrape off some of the color I've already gotten down. That's why I'm constantly checking, like, where my hand is. Alright. It's also, like, doing something like this, right? I wonder how, like, how Transformer designers, the people who actually figure out how a transformation can work, how do they go through it? Because, like, I remember hearing stories that there's, I forget his name, but one of the great toy designers in Takara, someone who, like, did so many of the masterpieces, their design to this day is, like, they literally just, like, have graph paper, and they can just see, like, in their head how this can work. And it's like a lot of people nowadays, like, they can have CAD models and they can kind of, like, mathematically figure out a way to do it and then, like, do the troubleshooting later. But then you have, like, some of those old guard in Takara, and Hasbro too, to be fair, but a lot of the old guard, like the Transformers design teams, and it really was just like, no, we just had, like, a piece of paper. We did the calculations, and they seemed to be okay, and then we did it, and it turns out they were okay. And it's like, that's like when you hear about NASA scientists and, like, how they did so much of their stuff despite having, like, none of the advantages that we do today. Like, think about how many things our modern calculators and computers can do only because they figured out how to do it in order to do something for the space program. Like, it's really fun to think about, like, when we went to the moon the third time, there were problems that we didn't even know could happen. And it's because they never even, like, came up during the first and second moon landings. And if they did, we were just going to have to try to improv our way out of it. I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, I feel like people put such a big deal on being, like, the first person to do something. Well, a lot of people seem to also forget, both for good and for ill, is that when you're the first to do it, that means that there's a whole lot of problems that you might not have experienced that other people are going to, and maybe we just don't have the conversation we need to have in time. Like, kind of going back to wrestling, there's so many cool wrestling moves that were made, and they were awesome, but because, like, the person who made it used it once or twice, we never had to think about, well, what happens if someone gets hit with this move a lot? Well, now people get hit with that move a lot, and a lot of people get really hurt. And it's just a thing where it's like, well, because we never thought to try doing it a lot back then, and it became popular, so now everyone's doing it all the time, now a lot of people are getting hurt. I don't really know where I'm going with any of this. It's just my musings, as I'm doing my best to scribble on my toy. Dude. I will let you guys know, I don't try to be, but I am probably, like, one of the most pretentious people you will ever meet. It's not by me trying to put on airs, it really is just, I am a person who likes to consider, what's the term? I like to navel gaze. I like to look at my belly button and ponder even, why the belly button is there. In terms of why it's there, that's the umbilical cord, right? Yeah, you have a belly button because of the umbilical cord. What a weird conversation I'm having with myself. I'm sorry, guys. What's something interesting we can talk about? My roommate keeps showing me stuff about the new Superman movie. It looks like it's gonna be so cool, man. I love the costume. Pretty much everyone in the cast are people I really have enjoyed movies from before. The thing that my roommate is really excited about, the editor of the movie is the editor from War for the Planet of the Apes. And if you're like me, you might hear that and wonder, well, why is it a big deal that that editor is the editor from War for the Planet of the Apes? Truth be told, any movie you love, you probably love it because of the editor. The editor's the one that like decides how the shots come together. If a movie is easy to follow and visually beautiful, yes, you give credit to the director, yes, you give credit to the art team, but really you should also be giving credit to the editor because they were able to make the flow of the movie work, the flow of the story, the flow of the shots. And it's one of those kind of unsung heroes in movies, how good an editor is. I don't think like people commit to memory the great editors of film history. I know I don't. I can't name a film editor off the top of my head. And yet, I can tell you how many movies were saved by the editor. Famous story, Star Wars apparently was just an absolute failure. When I say Star Wars, I mean the first one, New Hope. And it was only saved because George Lucas's wife was his editor, and she literally took all the footage they had and was able to kind of Frankenstein a movie together. And it's a thing where, like, we don't really talk about it, but yeah. A lot of the people who were around for that first movie outright admit, like, it was an absolute mess. Making it, acting in it, designing for it. But the edit saved the movie, and then it became, like, the biggest thing ever. And now we live in this world where, over 40 years later, we still all like Star Wars. Is there any new Star Wars movies coming out? I mean, I know that there's always Star Wars shows coming out, but I don't feel like there's any, like, movies coming out, right? I know, apparently they're going to do a movie that's going to be, like, the series finale of Mandalorian, and it's going to, like, connect all the shows together, basically. It's, like, going to connect Ahsoka and Book of Boba Fett, and, I mean, they're already connected, right? Like, characters show up in all of them. But, like, basically Thrawn is going to come over from Ahsoka, and we're going to have, like, our kind of big Avengers moment with the Star Wars Disney Plus shows. Okay, that's a first coat down for the metallic blue on the legs. I'm digging it. I am digging it a lot, actually. I'm trying to be very careful because I don't want to mess up any of the stuff I've covered. But okay. Now, while those legs dry, I'm going to move on to the arms. And then after the arms, we'll do the torso. So. Looks like we still have a good bit of blue left. We're definitely running low, but we're not quite on fumes yet. I don't know why, but when I said that, it reminds me of, I don't know if anyone here likes King of the Hill. One of my favorite King of the Hill episodes ever. I don't remember the name of it. It's the one where Hank and Bobby have to drive the semi-truck full of Hank's mom's stuff. And, like, Bill and Boomhauer and Dell are all, like, hiding out in the trailer. Which, by the way, guys, just a little PSA from Ron Bond to John. Don't hang out in a truck trailer. Where I live, we're a big storage city. We have boats and trucks and planes that come in all the time, so I know a thing or two about storage. Don't hang out in a truck trailer. There's no AC back there. There's no insulation back there. You will run out of oxygen very quickly. It is going to be a really bad time if you hang out in the trailer of a semi-truck while it's driving. That also isn't getting into the fact that, like, if that truck is in an accident or the trailer were to flip over because of a wind gust, things that are very possible to happen, there's no seatbelts back there. There's no safety. A trailer isn't made to be safe. It's made to be able to flip and disconnect from the truck to keep the driver safe. Doop. All right. That's one forearm done. Starscream's going to be four-armed and dangerous. Okay. Here's my plan, right? I think I'm actually going to keep the silver, or the gray, right underneath the red on his arm. I'm going to keep that and make the rest of it blue. Because Thundercracker does have gray in his design. And I don't want the gray to be like a main color here, but I still want some gray to be here. And I'm not just talking about the gray I'm not picking out with my color because I'm a moron. So I'm going to keep that gray. I might keep the top gray. I'm going to keep the top gray too. Yep, that's my plan. That is my plan, and we will see how it goes. I will say, I don't think that this is going to be like a masterpiece. I don't think like this is going to be like a Ron Bond John is a savant of Transformers customizing. But I do think this is going better than I thought it was. I was really thinking this was going to end up being let's all kind of laugh together at the mess I've made. But I think I can be kind of proud of this. You know, not a masterpiece. Obviously, there's issues. Obviously, it's not up to the same caliber, same quality as so many other great toy customizers. But I think that when all's said and done, I'm going to make a Thundercracker I'm going to really enjoy having on my shelf. Watch them announce that they're going to do a Cybertron Thundercracker after this. You know what? Truth be told, even if they did, I know that it's not going to use this kind of metallic color. So I wouldn't mind having this one too. And then I can just be like, well, that's Thundercracker, and this is Thundercracker after he gets the Cyber Planet Key and gets a little bit more energy into his body. I'm going to keep the back unpainted. I'm going to keep that unpainted. Okay, yeah, okay. Looking good here. Looking good here. I'm going to keep this on the side there. That just leaves the other arm. Got to bear down on it just to bring a little bit more of my blue up. There we are. Thundercracker is my favorite Transformer. He is my favorite boy out of any Transformers thing ever. I love Thundercracker in pretty much every form he's ever taken. I like him in the G1 cartoon. I like him in IDW a lot. I love him in War for Cybertron. I even love, he has a very brief scene in Transformers Devastation. It's very, very brief, but there's a part where you corner him, but he reveals that he's trying to get away from Megatron because he knows that Megatron's going too far, and then he helps you out. He gives you some information. And it's like, that's a good little scene with Thundercracker. Like, it just kind of gives him a little thing he could do, and it wasn't a big thing. He was only in one scene, but hey, it was a good scene. Sometimes, especially in Transformers, all you need is one good scene. I'm trying to think, like, who's an example of a character who really only had, like, one scene and that made them? Revenge of the Fallen, Sideswipe. Like, he has the damn I'm good scene. And then he also has, like, his little Mexican standoff with Ironhide in the third movie. But people really love that Sideswipe, and it's because he had two good scenes. Another character who maybe only had, like, one good scene. I mean, Tigerhawk was, like, only in 2 episodes of Beast Wars. No, I think he was in 3. I think he was technically in 3 because he died at the very beginning of part 2 of the finale, I think. So I think technically he is in 3 episodes of Beast Wars. Alright, that's a forearm done. And we're going to do the same thing over here where we're going to keep the top unpainted, but we're going to get the rest and then also leave the back unpainted. I think it would be interesting. I think I've been thinking about, right? Because with how many figures we've been getting from Armada, I've been rewatching some clips of Armada. And it's not the best, but, you know, for what it is, it's a fun little, like, show for kids. I think it'd be interesting to do, like, another Transformers anime, right? Like, I don't know, maybe get, like, who would be a good studio? I mean, I always want to say Ghibli, but, like, what would Ghibli do with Transformers? It, like, goes in the face of everything they do as a studio. maybe like Studio Madhouse or something. Just get like a good studio and tell them like, hey, just do whatever you want, make some cool action scenes to sell some toys. That'd be fun. Like just to get another Transformers anime, another go at a Transformers anime. And you'd think, like, especially nowadays with how big anime is, the fact that Transformers is, you know, from Japan originally, there would be something more like that. But it feels like we do our best to kind of keep Transformers as Americanized as possible, which is a bit weird. Just a bit weird. Then again, from what I understand, in Japan, Transformers is actually not very popular with, like, older collectors. It's very popular with, like, kids. If I remember right, and don't quote me on this, it's a thing where, like, in Japan, Gundam is way more popular, and it's partly because they're actual human characters and the robots are just, you know, mech suits. Whereas Transformers being just Transformers, that's actually seen as being, like, childish in comparison. So, like, a lot of people, a lot of collectors, they would actually prefer if the Transformers were more like, I guess basically like Transtector's Headmasters, where they were mecha suits. And I guess it's also like, that's the reason always given, but I think it is also like Transformers only ever gets so dark, whereas like Gundam, you know, that's a pretty serious show. They've tackled some real, like, hardcore, uncomfortable issues. That's kind of the legacy of that anime. Doop, 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 doop. Okay. And that's got all of our limbs. Now we're going to try to do the torso. Here's what I'm thinking, right? We're going to give the blue a break, because it's going to be really hard to do the head if we do the torso first. So we're going to do the head first. And, I keep spiking the camera. My bad. We're actually going to use the camera to help me out here. Let me get my lights here. Boop. Boop. Here's what I want to try to do. I want to try to make the face red and the body silver. Or not the body, but the eye silver. And the reason I want to do that is because that's Armada Thundercracker. I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be a ripping noise. Yep. I didn't bring a napkin. I'm going to use this cardboard to bring out the red of the Gundam marker. And we're going to try to get red face, gray eyes for a more Armada-flavored Thundercracker. There we are. Okay. Boop. Very steady hands are going to be needed. That is decent. I'm not getting a space right below the eye here. Oh, that's too much. That's too much. That's way too much. Okay. That is red on the face. Now we're going to use this silver. And I'm just going to get dollops in there for the eyes. There really isn't a good way to get into the eyes. I was able to get silver kind of around the eyes, and I think that's kind of probably going to be the best we get. I'm going to take the silver off the mask off the helmet. Okay. I'm sure there is a way to get silver, like, properly onto the eyes. I just don't think I have the ability or the knowledge to do it. But the use of the silver paint has given me a new idea that I think is going to work out pretty well. You see, even if we can't get silver eyes, we could use the silver in other places of the body. But before we do that, we're going to bring the blue right back out, and we are going to finish up by getting this torso done. Boop. The cardboard makes this so much easier. I should have done that from the start. Alright. Getting some of that good blue throughout the entire torso. The question becomes, do I paint the back? I keep saying paint. Do I draw on the back? Because I don't have much blue. But also, I don't know how much blue I'd really need to do that. I want to definitely get, like, at least all the gray that we would see from the front first. And then, if there is blue left over and time left over, I don't know why time would be an issue there. But yeah, if there's blue left over, then absolutely, let's hit the back. I'm going to hit the side here. Here's what I'll say, right? For me, these metallic markers have done really well, actually. They're not going to be, like, as in-depth or as customizable as, like, proper paint. But for, like, a beginner like I am, I think this has been going decently well. I'm getting the colors I'm wanting. I'm not having too much issues. So, there's that. Here. Okay. Now then, we're going to do... Oh, wait. I missed a bit of the gun here. There we are. Weirdly enough, I'm actually making him look more like G1 Starscream, like by adding a little bit of blue here around the cockpit. That is the weird thing, is like Cybertron Starscream, like he still has the dark blue, but he really doesn't have like the Starscream blue anywhere. At the same time though, they were going for like just a different feel altogether for this character. So that might have been very intentional that they didn't put bright blue anywhere. It does make me wish we could kind of go back to this Starscream, just see like what he's up to. It makes me wish like maybe they had actually done like a legacy cartoon. Because here's the thing, right? If they did a legacy cartoon, you have so many characters from so many different universes. It'd be fun just to see how they react to each other. But to me, I think like the most interesting thing is in Legacy, like there's been Optimus Primes and Megatrons, but like it's been tiny Transformers, or it's been like Beast, Dragon Megatron, or G2 Laser Prime. Like we're gonna get the deluxe G1 Prime, but that's gonna be the last Legacy figure, one of. So I think like it would have been cool, like what if you have all these characters from all over the multiverse, and of course you do have Megatrons, but like the leaders of the factions are never going to be a Megatron or an Optimus. Like maybe, like I'm trying to think like out of all the Decepticons, you have a Straxus, you have our Cybertron Starscream. He could definitely take over like a faction of Decepticons. He did in his own show. Maybe you have like Dragon Megatron and Magmatron. They team up and they're leading like all the beasts or something. Maybe Cybertron Starscream, like because he knows Tidal Wave, he's able to, like, get Tidal Wave on his side and get, like, a lot of the Decepticons on his side because of that. And then maybe you have, like, Tarn and G-Axis, like, they're in the mix, too. It would have been a cool idea. Cool show. Total fan fiction fuel. Don't get me wrong. It would have been, like, the most fan fiction thing ever. But I think it also could have been fun. It makes me... Because, like, we got the Netflix shows. The Netflix shows weren't great. But, like, they had their moments. I think it really would have been fun, though, had we gotten, like, proper, like, legacy fiction. Seeing how this Starscream reacts to Armada Starscream. That's the thing I always wanted as a kid. Would have been for, like, Alexis to meet Cybertron Starscream, because she had the bond with Armada Starscream, right? And in theory, this is the final form of Armada Starscream. But we never got that. It'd have been cool, like, just to see, like, this Starscream at the beginning of his life when he was honorable, having to deal with this just utter conniving monster of a Starscream. Literally, like, possibly the most evil Starscream ever. And probably the most efficient Starscream ever. Okay. Things are really coming together. Here, I'm gonna figure out how to do this. There we go. Get blue up here near the shoulders. Just so we're clear, this figure is probably not going to be able to transform after this without damaging the color. I don't think that's a problem, but I'm going to just put that out there. That's probably the reality here. I'm going to keep the pylons gray, but then I'm going to get the top blue. There we go, and I'm going to get the side over here. I've done all this with only one blue marker. I was really worried towards the beginning that this was going to run out, but it never did. We've done pretty well. Alright. Thankfully, the legs are more or less dry at this point. So now we can just... I also just realized they did a like a Prime Universe bulkhead for Legacy recently, didn't they? Because it was part of the Mayhem Suppression Squad, using the bulkhead body. I might pick that up. Oop. There we are. Sorry guys, I don't know if that might have cut out the stream for a sec. Yeah, I was just talking about how they did the Prime bulkhead, or Prime breakdown in Legacy, which is cool because I always liked that character. It's kind of funny that I think out of all the Prime characters, because they've had 2 Generations figures, I think that means they've had more than literally any other Prime character. Because, like, RC, I guess Bulkhead technically had 2. Bulkhead did... Oh, I messed up. I somehow got blue on the red of the pylon here. I have no idea how I even did that unless it came off. It came off on my fingers. Okay, can I fix that somehow? Oh, is it too late? It's too late. That sucks. That really, really sucks. Well, that's getting most of what we wanted to do done. We do still have these weapons. I honestly think that I'm going to make these silver, just because we already have a lot of blue on this Starscream. Then again, do we have enough blue on this Starscream? I'm not going to lie, maybe that was a good thing that that blue came off there. Let me actually, like, make these pylons fully blue. Maybe that will kind of, like, help me with this. Mm-hmm. Okay, I kind of like the blue pylons, actually. Ah, Tob, I see that about the sky warp. I think it's. I could be wrong. I want to say that it's not actually going to be called sky warp. It's going to be like stealth Starscream or something because there is technically a Cybertron sky warp. I saw that, and that's part of the reason why I'm making Thundercracker, is because I think they absolutely will make a sky warp. There's been such a demand for a sky warp out of the Cybertron Starscream mold over the years that they know it will make money. I don't think they would do the same for Thundercracker. I think Thundercracker, like, just straight up doesn't have a chance. And I hope I'm wrong, because I would still buy, like, a Cybertron Thundercracker that isn't actually Cybertron Thundercracker. Like, I have to keep saying that. It's like, I know there's already a Cybertron Thundercracker. That's not who I want here. I want this mold as Thundercracker. And that is what we are making. Okay. So we still have red in the torso, but I do like that the pylons are now blue too. I think that's helping, like, really divorce this mold from Starscream. Okay. I'm just trying to think, like, what are a few more things we can do to help this out? I mean, I guess maybe if we, like, hit that with blue. Here. I really should have brought, like, a paper towel or something. Just to make sure I don't get any color I don't want off my fingers and onto the toy. There we go. Then we have here, okay. So, that's getting us closer to what I want. But Thundercracker is not mostly blue and red. He's mostly blue and silver with a little bit of red. So the torso, mostly red. That's why we're going to use the silver. I'm now going to try to get the torso. Oh, nice, 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 nice. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry that I'm not speaking right now, guys. I'm doing my best to focus on drawing inside the lines. I don't know how good a job I am doing of it, but I am trying. There we go. And I think I'm going to keep the red around the cockpit and then move up here to put some silver here. Here we go. That's starting to look pretty good. I think I'm actually going to keep the red here, because that's Thundercracker, but I'm going to actually get the top of the chest in this silver. So right here, I'm going to get silver. Okay. That's getting closer and closer to what I want out of a Thundercracker, I think. Oh, here. I'm seeing something I'm missing. All right. Let's get the arms on him real quick. Just see how it looks. It's getting there, but we're still missing something, I think. We have the big pylons. I feel like the pylons are going to be how we really make it clear who this is. And I think for them, I'm going to do them entirely in red and then cover the red in blue. That's my plan here. Let's give that a go. This is the silver. Did I just say I was going to do these in red or in blue? What would really help here? They're already gray, so I don't want to do silver. We're going to make them red. One sec. The red really is more of an orange, but I think it still works decently well. Here, we're starting to get low on battery, so I'm going to finish coloring this one, and then I'm going to go grab my charger real quick. Okay. Boop. I'm going to use the sword to help me out real quick. So I'm going to keep that part gray, but then I'm going to turn the wing blue. So it's going to be kind of a inverse of Thundercracker's usual blue wing with red highlight. This is going to be a red wing with a bit of a blue highlight. Sorry guys, I'm going to have to try to bear it down on the table real quick. Here guys, I'm going to try to move this so you guys can still see what I'm doing. I hate to be so bad about this. It's just I'm trying my best to get this colored in, and I don't know the best way to go about it really. Come on. All right, that's one wing. I'm going to put that down. Let me go grab my charger real quick. Alright, I'm back, and I'm gonna plug into my outlet here. I say my outlet, I'm really plugging it into my light. And, whoop. Alright, we should be charging now. But, that is one wing done. Alright. On one hand, I don't like the orange as much as if it was an actual metallic red. On the other hand, it actually does work better in terms of the fact that if it wasn't for that, the only orange on the figure would be on Thundercracker's face. So, I'm going to say it's fine. I'm willing to deal with it. Alright, same thing over here. We're going to do the sides in red, orange really, and then we're going to do the top in blue. Boop, 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 boop. I know a lot of people are really excited right now because they just announced Shrek 5. That's been the big thing, it seems like, for animation people. I love Shrek. Shrek 1, one of the first movies I ever saw. Shrek 2, love it. Shrek the Third, it exists. And then Shrek 4, I'll say it, it's actually a really good movie. I kind of hate that it kind of got tarred with the same brush that Shrek the Third did. To be fair, all the movies got tarred with the same brush. It's a shame. One movie dragged down the reputation of an entire series, and the series, for the most part, is pretty good. It's really, really unfortunate that a lot of people seem to assume that the Shrek movies are trash just because Shrek the Third wasn't too good. boop, 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 boop. There we are. And then on the other side, I'm trying to think, like, what are other DreamWorks movies that could use a sequel? I mean, they just did Kung Fu Panda 4. For a long time, I always said, oh, do another Kung Fu Panda. We got it, and it wasn't my cup of tea. I think some people really enjoyed it, and more power to them, you know? Just because I don't like something doesn't mean that it's not likable. But yeah, Kung Fu Panda 4 was not really for me. Puss in Boots, really enjoyed. The second one. The first one, I remember liking it, but it's been so long that I don't actually remember that much about it. Aside from, like, I know, like, Kitty Softpaws is from that movie. And Humpty Dumpty is the villain. And he was actually really entertaining. And who voiced him? Did Patton Oswalt voice Humpty Dumpty in the first Puss in Boots movie? I think it was Patton Oswalt. There we are. That's got the orange going. Up. Bring our blue back out. Okay. So. I will say this, these weapons have been a lot rougher to do than the figure, because for one, I'm starting to run out of blue, and for two, they actually weirdly have much smaller surfaces that are actually, like, decent for drawing on. Like, on the figure, the smooth places were the easy places to draw on top of. But on these, because they're so small, every place that's smooth is either very small or it's a transformation joint, which means that it's going to be kind of hard to get to. But it's still working out in the end, I think. What else is going on recently? I know my roommate just recently got into the X-Men, so he's been keeping up with all the like Wolverine and Deadpool stuff. I love the X-Men, and I really liked the first two Deadpool movies. I like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I think the movies are going to be pretty cool, but I also don't really know what to expect. I don't like to watch trailers. I like to find out a movie is coming out, and then go radio silent, and then go in and see the movie, and that'd be my first impression of it. And that's because, way back when, a little baby Ron Bon John was very excited for a movie called Batman v Superman. And Batman v Superman was not very good, but also it was completely spoiled by its own trailer. And if you don't know what I mean, Batman v Superman was supposed to be a reveal that Wonder Woman was going to be in it. It was like it's supposed to be a big surprise. Same thing with the character of Doomsday. And they were both just in the last trailer. Those were supposed to be like twist characters. And it's like your twist was spoiled by the trailer, dude. That's cool. Okay. Alright. That's got the weapons done. I'm going to hit this torso with another coat of silver. Out of all the colors on this Starscream, the one that is giving me the most issue is the red, but that's also probably to be expected because the red is the kind of boldest and brightest color here. Okay. It just feels like there could be more, right? And I'm trying to think, like, what's something else I could hit that I think could really help bring out Thundercracker here. And really it becomes, how much of the dark blue do we change? Because I think that is what the thing is maybe I just need to get rid of the dark blue. Maybe we have too many shades of blue here. Maybe if we well, real quick, let me just check something real quick. Yeah, the back, I just don't think is going to be worth it for me to do. Worth it in terms of my personal enjoyment of it. Huh. But maybe if I did the forearms in silver, maybe then I'd feel a little bit more happy about this. I'm enjoying it so far. I think the big thing about this Thundercracker, and it's going to sound like I'm trying to make excuses, I'm really not. I'm not hitting every point I should, but I do kind of like how scratched up it makes the paint look. Like, it looks like Thundercracker's been in so many fights, and like this is just what his body looks like now. Yeah, okay, silver forearms. Turns out that absolutely was the way to go. Let's do the same thing with this arm over here. We're going to be very careful not to touch any of the silver. I say that literally as I am touching more of the silver. Okay, flux for me, Thundercracker. There we go. Also, I'm seeing places where I missed the blue on this side. So let's hit that up real quick. Doop, 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 doop. There we are. And now silver forearm time. I was telling you guys earlier about like just video games, older video games. Me and my roommate, we were replaying Simpsons Hit and Run, which was a game I loved very much as a kid because I thought it was like the single best Simpsons thing ever, and I was a big Simpsons fan. Playing the game nowadays, it is still fun. It is always a fun game, but it does not age particularly well. That's a game that could use like a remake to just try to fix some of the bugs in it. Because it's a very buggy game. And I feel like people don't really talk about that. I think people are very quick to say like, oh, it's an amazing game and it's a fun game. And it is those things. But it's also a game that's very buggy. And a lot of the cars aren't very good. And some of the dialogue is weird. Because they got most of the actual voice cast. But then there's a handful of characters that just sound wrong. And I can't really remember who it is. But there are a couple characters where they speak, and it's like, sometimes it's just not a Simpsons voice actor, and sometimes it's like they have the Simpsons voice actors, but it's almost like they got the wrong character's voice. Like, there's a line that Chief Wiggum gives, but it sounds more like it's being done by Mayor Quimby. And I know that's like such a small thing, but like for Simpsons, I think so much of the character and the personality comes from the voices. So having like any of the voices messed up is actually kind of takes you out of the game a bit, I think. It's similar with like all the SpongeBob games, because I don't know if there was any SpongeBob game that actually has what's his name? I'm forgetting Mr. Krabs. Clancy Brown. I don't think there's any SpongeBob game that actually has Clancy Brown as Mr. Krabs. So it's super weird to hear all the other characters and they sound right, and then you just hear like your drunk uncle doing a bad Mr. Krabs impression. So it's always so weird to me. It's like you can afford most of the voice cast, but not all. And it makes me wonder, is Clancy Brown the highest paid or like the hardest to get out of like the SpongeBob voice actors? Like surely Tom Kenny has a bigger contract than Clancy Brown, right? Like I know Clancy Brown's been in a lot of good stuff, don't get me wrong, he's been in amazing stuff. But like Tom Kenny is in everything. He is in actually everything. And again, I guess he's a background character and everything. Whereas Clancy Brown, if you get him, he's almost always a main character. Maybe that has something to do with it. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Really digging this. I am so happy with how this has really turned to shape up. I'm gonna go in with the silver paint. Oh, thank you so much, Arrow Blueberry. I'm enjoying it. I am not a customizer. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm really just hoping things work out in the end, but thankfully, things have indeed worked out in the end. There we go. Okay. So, oh, well, thank you, Arrow Blueberry. That is very, very nice. That's probably just because you didn't see in the beginning where I was actively forgetting what pieces I said I wanted in which color. In all honesty, there's not much more I want to do in terms of the colors here. Like, unless I start, like, getting the back of the figure. Oh, well, how about this? We never actually got these wings. So let's paint up these guys real quick, and then I think we might actually be done. I might go up and like, add another coat to, like, some of the blue areas. But, like, in terms of the silver, I actually like that it looks like he's somewhat battle damaged. I'm a sucker for any time you can see, like, scratches and dents in a Transformer. Not necessarily battle damage. I don't want, like, blast marks like Siege did, but I love it when, like, if you get, like, a Jazz, and, like, Jazz's, like, the white is kind of broken up by every now and again. There's just, like, a scrape, and you can see, like, the silver, or, like, the gunmetal gray inside. There we go. I'm going to keep this gray, I think. And then, yeah, there we go. Same thing over here. Alright. All that's left now is I want to re-hit some of these areas with the blue again. Boop. The blue lasted so much longer, so much better than I thought it would. I was really thinking that this figure was going to need me to go get it like another thing of paint to, or of markers to finish, but no. We were able to more or less get what I wanted out of one pack. I can't really complain too badly. And again, there's a million customizers out there that could have done such a better job than I did. But at the same time, I'm pretty proud of myself. Like, I think this all around is a decent, like, attempt at doing a Cybertron Thundercracker. Yeah. Like, I like him. I like him so much. And, like, I'm not trying to sound like, oh, like snooty. Because, like, obviously, you know, if you guys have a different opinion, it's valid. But, like, at the end of the day, the only person who has to like this is me. And I like it. I think that I can look at that and I'm pretty proud of everything I did. And you know what? No. There is something else I want to do. I want to take the gray up here and I want to make it... I missed some blue in the shoulders. And then I want to go back and I want to hit the gray with silver. I've been trying to figure out why he looks wrong on this other side. And it's because I didn't get blue on both sides. Is it same on the back? No, it's not the same on the back, so it was just on the front I did that. Okay. Boop. So let's get up here with the silver. I'm literally just going to wipe my fingers like this to make sure I have no wet marker on me. It's not going to show up all that much, this silver, but I think it is going to add just like a little visual gleam that I want. There we go. It's going to be a thing where like no one's ever going to notice, but I'll know. And that's going to make me happy that I added the silver up here. And a little bit more silver here in the torso. But okay. Let's get all of his weapons and wings on. The paint should be dried at this point. Do I want or plan to make other Seekers with this mold? You know, I really wasn't. I just wanted Thundercracker because he's my favorite. And supposedly there's going to be a Walmart Skywarp. So I won't do Skywarp. I'm trying to think, like, the cone heads could be interesting. The only thing is, like, there's no way to really fix the head to be a cone head. Then again, there was already a Dirge and a Thrust with this mold, basically. So I could just use their color schemes from that. I'm going to put the wings on wrong. I know I'm putting them on wrong, but it's because I want to see the colors better. I think the only character who I think could work with this mold that I might want to do would be Slipstream. Because I think it would be a bulky Slipstream, but I think Slipstream's colors actually would look good on this mold if you, like, were able to map it out to make it work. But then, like, Ramjet, like, that's white and red. I think that gets a little too boring. Dirge and Thrust, I think, could be cool. Because there's already, like, toys that are the Cybertron Starscream in those colors. Maybe the Thrust. I'll think about it. But really, if I was going to do this again, I think I would actually want to make it Slipstream. And that's just because I like Slipstream more. I like the colors more. I would like more Slipstream figures. We're getting one in Legacy finally, but we need more Slipstreams in the world. Here, let's kind of clear this out. Now keep in mind, guys, this is not the single best customized figure ever. I've never claimed it would be, but I do like it. Like, I'm going to keep touching it up over time, but overall, I'm happy with this. I think it is a decent attempt for my first customized figure. It's given me all the colors I wanted. I think it looks decent. I'm happy with it. So, thank you guys for watching. It was a long live stream, but I was able to get my favorite character out of one of my favorite Starscreams. I might do another video where we actually, like, compare the two, and it'll be smaller, but I don't know. It might just be this. In any case, guys, thank you everyone for watching. We might do another live stream like this someday, but then again, I'm not a customizer, like I said, but you guys have all been awesome. Let's see what we get up to next time. And boop.